So Hugo Chavez was a man who tried to have a coup d'etat. He failed, was imprisoned, and came back, was elected president. And then a coup d'etat happened against him, and it was coordinated by everybody, media, the oligarchs, America, and they held him. They kidnapped him for 2 days. But then the pro-Chavez forces took to the streets and was able to recall their kidnapped president back into power. So here's some, let's see. The right man for the right time in Venezuela, said an embassy cable sent to Washington in December 2001, referring to Pedro Carmona, the head of Venezuela's Chamber of Commerce, who's going to be the new leader, right, who's going to take over for Chavez. Carmona was singled out as the president to be after the coup succeeded that December 2001. Oil industry executives led a strike, called for Chavez's resignation, right? Oil industry executives are pissed, and they're financing all this popular furor. Their furor began to grow early 2002, and by March, strikes and protests against Chavez were almost a daily occurrence. The NED quadrupled its funding. The NED was like the National Endowment for Democracy. So the NED is how they was able to finance this coup, okay? So the National Endowment for Democracy quadrupled its funding to Venezuela groups such as the Fede Carmas and the CTV Labor Federation, along with a series of NGOs plotting Chavez's ouster. A State Department cable from the first week of March 2002 claims another piece falls into place and applauded the opposition's effort to finally create a plan for a transitional government. With much fanfare, the Venezuelan great and good assembled on March 5th in Caracas Esmeralda Auditorium to hear representatives of the Confederation of Venezuelan Workers, CTV, and the Federation of Business Chambers, the Fede Camaras, and the Catholic Church present their basis for a democratic accord, 10 principles on which to guide a transitional government. Soon after the March 11, 2002 CIA top-secret brief, partially declassified by Jeremy Bigwood and Eva Godlinger through investigations using the Freedom of Information Act, FOIA, thanks to Ralph Nader, revealed a coup plot underway in Venezuela. The opposition has yet to organize itself in a united front. If the situation further deteriorates and demonstrates become even more violent, the military may move to overthrow him. Yet another CIA top-secret brief from April 6, 2002, just 5 days before the coup, outlined the detailed plans of how the events would unravel. Conditions of ripening for a coup attempt. Dissident military factions, including some disgruntled senior officers and a group of radical junior officers, are stepping up efforts to organize a coup against President Chavez, possibly as early as this month. The level of detail in the reported plans targets Chavez and 10 other senior officials for arrest. The corporate media, military affairs, national papers in Venezuela headlined April 10th, 11, 2002, the final battle. The rally turned into a march. Several 100,000 protesting, calling violently for his ouster. It almost seemed like the media was actually in on it. Something happened with Bolivia and the United States. The Morales plane incident. So they're looking for Edward Snowden, right? Where's Edward Snowden? In July 2013, Bolivian President Evo Morales' plane, while returning to Bolivia from Russia, landed in Vienna, Austria. So he's flying from Russia back to his home country, but the United States is so powerful they could stop mid-flight Evo Morales' plane and told him to land in Austria, in Vienna. After France, Spain, Portugal, and Italy informed with 24 hours advance that their airspace was closed to his plane due to unsubstantiated rumors that U.S. whistleblower Edward Snowden was on board his aircraft. Morales claimed the United States pressured the European countries into preventing his passage home. So that's amazing, actually. France, Spain, Portugal, Italy would not allow Evo Morales to land there. So these European countries are siding with, against the South Americans. Morales claimed the United States pressured them. Afterward, arriving back in La Paz, Morales threatened to close the U.S. Embassy in La Paz, stating, "We do not need the Embassy of the United States." There's actually, I think it was Korea that made a joke about, why the United States government will never be overthrown. It's because we don't have a U.S. Embassy. So we don't have an embassy. We have everybody else's embassies here, right? But because we don't have an American embassy, there's nobody to plot over. So that's what we're doing to Bolivian presidents, right? You got Snowden with you. You got Edward Snowden with you. Could have been a diversion, which had been clever, right? U.S. aid to Bolivia. Actually, I heard that there was a plane, somebody said that he was going to be on to Cuba, and nobody was. It was all a bunch of reporters. There was no Snowden or anybody else. But there was a plane packed, right? So that's good for the economy. Send all these reporters on a wild goose chase. U.S. aid to Bolivia. U.S. aid financing Urinda, author of a plan for Santa Cruz's secession from Bolivia. So the U.S. Embassy, again, is stirring some shit up. The State Department spokesman denied the accusation. U.S. aid officials said they provided support to all Bolivian governors, not just those in the opposition, in a decree issued by Bolivia's Supreme Court in October 2007. One article states that Bolivia would not accept money with political or ideological strings attached. Evo Morales declared the imperialist project is to try to carve up Bolivia, and with that to carve up South America, because it is the epicenter of great changes that are advancing on a world scale. On May 1st, 2013, the Bolivian President Evo Morales expelled the U.S. aid program for allegedly attempting to undermine the government. So they expelled the U.S. aid program, and they should probably also check out the National Endowment for Democracy, the NED, and the embassy. They should be very mindful of all these things, because historically that's what American corporations and interests do. Suck the military in to battle their proposition acquisitions, right? Their property problems. Because they're speculators and they only care about the money. I heard that Mujica, he was a Marxist revolutionary. So just like Hugo Chavez and Fidel Castro and Hitler, I hate talking about him as a revolutionary, but he was an anti-revolutionary, right? He consolidated state power, totalitarianism, fascism. And so he changed he substantially changed one society to the next society, and then his loss, that changed a lot of things too. But they all started out by attempting to do some violent takeover, and then they failed, then they go into prison or exile, then they come back, elected by the people, and then they take over everything. So it's interesting. Mujica was talking about how when you hurt somebody in the government of Latin America, you're actually insulting all of them. So Bolivian president's jet rerouted amid suspicions Edward Snowden is on board. France and Portugal are accused of withdrawing permission for the plane carrying the president Evo Morales from energy talks in Moscow to pass through their airspace. France and Portugal. I believe France. Portugal, Spain. Why they don't have to do that. Bolivia reacted with fury after a plane carrying the country's president's home from Russia was diverted to Vienna, Austria, amid suspicions it was carrying the surveillance whistleblower Edward Snowden. Officials in both Austria and Bolivia said Snowden was not on the plane. The Bolivian Foreign Minister David Chaquehuanca said, "We don't know who invented this lie. We want to denounce to the international community this injustice with the plane of President Evo Morales. Kidnapped by imperialism." In midair, kidnapped in midair. The Spanish government made revision of the presidential plane a condition of granting it passage. This is a hostile act by the United States government, which used various European governments. Morales finally left Vienna around 11:30 a.m. local time on Wednesday after spending 12 hours at the airport. So they made him wait 12. So it's embarrassing. We're insulting all of Latin America when we do that, and especially to him. He's like a humble farmer. He is making radical changes, but he's elected, and 95% he's indigenous. You can't. What are you gonna? Aristide. The fact that we mess with the first democratically elected president of Haiti, should mess up their elections and democracy for the rest of it, because we didn't do right. We established democracy and elections, but we totally meddled in it and messed it up. They're in coup d'etats in there. That's the problem. That's why you want democracy, to stop coup d'etats. But instead they kept coup d'etat anyways, because the democracy wasn't getting the people that they wanted. It was basically the Nixon's Southern plan, or it's the Mississippi plan. You use violence. People are scared to go to the polls. then you get the people that you want to vote for, you know, your horrible capitalist, fascist, totalitarian ways. So after that happened, basically Evo Morales says, we don't need an embassy of the United States. Threatened to kick him out. Being united will defeat American imperialism. We met with the leaders of my party. They asked us for several measures necessary. We'll close the embassy of the United States. He made his announcement on Thursday as leaders of Venezuela, Ecuador, Argentina, Uruguay joined him in Cochabamba, Bolivia for a special meeting addressing the diplomatic row. Europe broke all the rules of the game, Venezuela President Nicolas Maduro said during arriving at the Cochabamba airport. We're here to tell President Evo Morales that he can count on us. Whoever picks a fight with Bolivia picks a fight with Venezuela. Maduro said an unnamed European government minister told Venezuela the CIA was behind the incident. We are not colonies anymore. Uruguay's president, Jose Mujica, right, the marijuana man, the $1 a gram selling marijuana. We deserve respect. When one of our governments insulted, we feel the insult throughout Latin America. Ecuador's President Rafael Correa said on Thursday he and other leaders are often offering full support to Morales, what called the rerouting of the plan an aggression against the Americas. So we're pissing off everybody, and we just, you know, carrying on these old traditions. So you got an old guard that's sort of pushing for these old, you know, we don't need to do, it's a new world. So let's have new policies, okay? And we should have a clear policy of non-intervention, a peaceful intervention. Let's do having more military bases in Colombia, right? You invest all that money, and then you threaten, basically, don't side with Iran. Honduras, you coup d'etat people, you know, the Ecuador 2002, definitely with Hugo Chavez. It's like everywhere, but the 2010 Ecuador, that isn't as known. It took place September 30, 2010, with elements of the National Police blockaded highways, occupied the National Parliament, blocked the Mariscal Sucre International Airport in Quito, and the Jose Joaquin de Olmedo International Airport, I don't know. Took over TV Ecuador's station, which they claimed was a strike to oppose a government-sponsored law, supposedly reduced their benefits. Man, this is pissing me off. This is Wikipedia. I used to love Wikipedia and defend them blindly, but since they deleted Ronnie Lee Smith, they said that he wasn't an important person. But really, they should have a wiki people type thing. It would help with ancestry, and to say that a person, the team determined that this person is not historically pertinent. News flash, he's got kids, so he carries on. His legacy carries on because he's got blood still walking around here. So directly, his history affects present, and therefore, like Bafam who's Wikipedia that's out, and he is historically notable, and not only is he a person, right, but he was the first libertarian sheriff to run for sheriff in Kentucky, and cured over 200 cases of cancer before it became popular, and before everybody realized that cannabinoids cure cancer. The CB2 receptors are still on the cancer cells, and so there's a cannabinoid that induces those CB2 receptors to induce autophagy or apoptosis, which is where they tell the cell to kill themselves. So it's a self-destruct button in case you have a cancerous cell. And a cannabinoid helps the apoptosis or autophagy, the self-destruction of a cancer cell, to happen. So it's because of a marijuana plant and a cannabinoid receptor attached to the cancerous cells. Okay. The Ecuador attempt. President Rafael Correa went to the police headquarters in Quito, and after being ill-received, he made a harsh speech in which he accused the police ranks of treason to the people in the country and dared them to kill him. After he was pelted by the rebellious police ranks and a tear gas canister went off, Correa was escorted to a hospital in the same compound. According to El País, New York Times, Correa himself, the rebellious policeman then surrounded the building and prevented him from leaving. From the hospital, Korea declared a state of emergency and said that a coup d'etat was taking place, attributed responsibility to the government's opposition. According to the state news agency's ANDES, police radio recordings from the night of 30th of September revealed that the police intended to kill Korea. Thousands of civilians came out to support Korea and gathered around the hospital in which he was held hostage. Clashes occurred between rebellious police forces and loyal army and police forces, who successfully rescued Korea after he had allegedly been held for 10 hours at the hospital. So coup d'etat was an attempted against Ecuador. Why? Because of his policies?